big admission has been made by Canadian government. A Canadian government report on terror financing and money laundering has made some startling revelations. As per a report titled 2025 Assessment of Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Risks in Canada, Babbar, Khalsa International and the International Sikh Youth Federation are among the Khalistani groups that have received funding from within the Canada as per assessment of Canadian law enforcement and intelligence agencies. It also highlighted the misuse of charitable and NPO sectors by Khalistani violent extremists. The report states that these groups solicit donations from diaspora communities. In fact, the government report acknowledged that the Khalistani extremist groups are resorting to violent means to establish an independent state within India's Punjab. All right, let's discuss this further. Foreign Affairs expert Canada and US Surinder Singh Lalli, as well as Defence and Geopolitical expert retired Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni are joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking to News9. Lieutenant General Kulkarni, let me first come to you. What do you think of this big development now coming to picture? Do you think it makes India's stance against Canada stronger? Because we have been saying it from the very beginning, that all of these elements are functioning and in fact getting funding from within the Canada. India is not responsible for it.
Sakshi, thank you very much. I think it vindicates India's stand. India has been saying all along that these Khalistani movement, which is there in Canada, is being funded, and therefore now when there's an admission coming from Canada itself, from the Department of Finance, and also from the politically motivated violent extremism, claiming that the Babbar, Khalsa and international Sikh youth federations have been equated with Hamas and Hezbollah, have been gathering funds within, and there has been money laundering, and that they admit that this kind of thing has been happening for a long time, though it has reduced substantially, that they admit that it has reduced substantially. But yes, there was a lot from their own community that the money was being raised and being misused for it to be there for all kinds of activities in Punjab. And therefore, it does definitely, it is the admission itself, because you remember how the relations of India with Canada deteriorated primarily because Trudeau, because of Niger's killing, almost blamed India for his killing, resulting in the envoys being pulled back and relations getting strained. But hopefully, under the new Prime Minister, there seems to be a positive side. The envoy restoration will take place soon. Hopefully, things will improve. And the very fact that this admission has happened, so we would much like to see it on ground that these kind of activities are not allowed to happen, because this kind of a money laundering, collection of funds, all of it being said, and even the very fact that Pannu himself happened to be there during the ceremony of Trump's swearing in, is also indicated that these kind of things, as far as possible for sensitivities of India, and also not to let such organizations flourish, prosper, or indulge in money laundering. I think it's a very, very positive step from the Government of Canada. Hopefully, things will ease and there will be better relations, and even these kind of fringe groups that are there will also not be allowed, because it's a very, very minor aberration. But then, of course, it brings in a bad name to everybody. It brings a bad name to the nation, it brings a bad name to the community, and I'm sure all of it will stop, hopefully soon, and some good sense will prevail. But yes, vindication of India wanting to tell that since mid-80s, this kind of a thing has been happening in Canada, and now that the Canadian government admits, I'm glad that the thing has happened.
Absolutely. Mr. Lalli, let me also have your opening comments on this big development coming into the picture, because this report not only has highlighted Khalistani extremists, but they have also explicitly mentioned the groups in it as well.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor for me to be here. And, this is the worst kept secret. But I come with a very heavy heart, because as a proud Indian Sikh, I'm still awaiting justice and closure to the Air India 182 Kanish bombing. There was a plane from my country in which 331 died, which 268 were Canadians and 84 children under the age of 13. Now, as an act of Freudian slip, back then, it's the Canadian head of state which called up the Indian head of the state and expressed condolences. And why do I say Freudian slip? Because 268 were Canadian citizens. So that ought to give you an idea of the mindsets, since the Trudeau senior days that has been going on, and this is not now. I mean, even back then, the Prime Minister of British Columbia, Ojjwal Dosanjh, was on record saying, and I was part of that conference where he said that, Pierre Trudeau had enough reports that these two gentlemen from the Babbar Khalsa were out in the woods trying to check explosives, but he didn't do anything about it, and we lost the plane. And that's one. And number two is, where are these Johnnies now? I mean, where is that Pannu? Where is Sikhs for Justice? Where is Babbar Khalsa? Where is World Sikh Organization when Punjab is underwater? What am I trying to say by that? What am I trying to insinuate by that? That these are Johnnies who only use Sikhism as a front for all those nefarious activities, which are very much mentioned in detail in the PMVE report. They are only fronts. They have nothing to do with Sikhism. They have been responsible for almost burying under the ground the relationship between two English-speaking democracies with such a large diaspora. But, I'm a positive guy, so I am going to have a lot of expectations from Mark Carney because Justin Trudeau was in bed with them. He used to get funded by them, and because of those vested interests, he actually hampered the relationship between two democracies, especially when the world is so polarized and divided. So I welcome this report, and the jury is out on how soon Mark Carney is going to react at it because it's already very late. They have very strong financial influences and roots into the Canadian police, the Canadian polity, the Peel police. So I really, really hope that the worst kept secret is out. But let's cross our fingers and see what Mark Carney has to do, because there is a lot needs to be done, and a very large diaspora has suffered and paid a very big price of what was going on for the last 2 years.
All right, Lieutenant General Kulkarni, let me also come back to you, because another significant development in this particular report is that, Khalistani groups have been kept alongside Hamas and Hezbollah, and they have been categorized under the politically motivated extremism, right? What does it exactly tell us about India's, this partnership with the Western front as far as to go against the terrorism, to attack terrorism, specifically the relationship between India and West, and now, of course, our case becoming stronger?
It's actually, India has zero tolerance for terrorism. India has all along been saying that we do not tolerate it, and definitely coming from the government of Canada, equating it, as you rightly said, politically motivated this is violence of extremism is definitely not, and equating with Hamas, Hezbollah surely is dangerous, not just to India, even to to Canada, for instance. Reason is, when they are collecting funds from within the community, misusing funds, like I agree with Mr. Lali, that for nefarious activities. This nefarious activities is something which brings in a bad name. A very small number, extremely small number. But since they have funds, they misuse those funds. And all those funds are being misused, and well, if they have been used well for what is right now happening in Punjab, the flooded Punjab, it would have been seen as in good light. Instead of that, what they have not done, they've been using it for something that nobody would want to stand. And equating them with Hamas, Hezbollah is indicative that how serious these organizations were working. They had a sizable amount of stake, and as rightly said, Justin Trudeau, his father, both of them have been deeply involved into it. There is no denying the fact that the very fact that the present Prime Minister, Mark, has accepted, and the very fact that the report has come out is indicative that yes, this is something which is dangerous, which needs to be nipped bud, and hopefully, as I said, well, one must walk the talk now, because all of it has come out. Everything, our stand or India's stand has been indicated. We know that such activities have been going on. We've been saying so. It has almost come to, the diplomatic relations have almost gone down to, gone down south, I would say. It was very, very sad. And, no ambassadors for a long, long time. Things had gone down. It looked as if there were countries that daggers drawn. But now, in the present state, with High Commissioner being restored in both the countries, hopefully, I think that these kind of activities blaming each other for no rhyme or reason, like Niger's killing, Justin Trudeau all along kept saying it was India's involvement, his statement, and like what Mr. Lali said, well, he depended on the funds coming from these organizations, and therefore probably he was paying them back by signing with them. All of it should end, and we must establish good relations with Canada, and all these fringe groups in Canada must be banned, and it doesn't speak very good of them because we equated with Hamas and Hezbollah. Definitely, I'm sure the Sikh community in Canada would not like to be equated with these kind of gangs which have been definitely designated as terrorists by the UN also. So at that point of time, I would say surely we must not let this fringe group raise their heads again. The government of Canada must ensure no money laundering, no misusing, no using drug trafficking funds, no using community collection funds or tax evasion or anything and everything to indulge in this nefarious activity.
All right, Mr. Lali, coming back to you, what exactly explains the timing of this report? It's the time of global uncertainty at the moment. Do you think the relationship, the strained relationship between India and Canada will get better under Prime Minister Mark Carney? Also, do you think that, maybe political compulsions within the Canada can dilute its effect, the effect of the report that has just come out?
As they say in English, it gets pitch dark before it gets, before sunlight. So I think it's gotten to so much down below, as Janus have rightly said, that the High Commissioners are withdrawn. And between two English-speaking liberal democracies, that ought to give you an idea. But, almost our relationship with Canada was as bad as it with Pakistan. And, I through your prestigious channel, I want to make a statement here. I take personal offense to these individuals who use the word Sikh. They have nothing to do with Sikhism. 87% of us live in India. And we have more elections than we ought to. We don't need these people to represent our interests. And I don't know in which capacity do they get the right to use the word referendum. I mean, they're a fringe rogue and they do not represent the Sikh community. And it pains me that, the World Sikh Organization and Sikhs for Justice, when they're in the same bracket as Hamas and Hezbollah. That's not what Sikhism is all about. It's really sad. And I just want to make one last appeal through your channel to both individuals in and across the world watching your channel who could have even, a bit of sympathy for them. Please understand and see through them. They have nothing to do with Sikhism. We are living in India as a proud Indian, the Indian dream. They do not represent us. They are simply using Sikhism as a front to exploit religious and emotional values so that they can raise money for their nefarious activities, which they used to fund, the politicians.
All right, Mr. Lali and Lieutenant General Kulkarni, it's always a pleasure to have you both here for the chat at News9. Thank you so much for joining the conversation this time around as well for this big development.